Xabi Alonso, his father was a manager. He was born with the father player, he grew up with the father manager, then he became a player, of course much better than I was. Then he became a player, a top player. His position on the pitch and his knowledge of the game very high, and then he played in Spain, in England and in Germany, and he was coached by Guardiola Bayern, by myself in Real Madrid, by Ancelotti, by Benitez in Liverpool. So I think if you put all this together, I think Xavi has conditions to be a very good coach.
When Jose Mourinho speaks, the football world pays attention. And when he said Xabi Alonso will be a fantastic coach, it wasn't just a compliment, it was a prediction. Now that prediction has come true. Xabi Alonso isn't just a former midfield star. He didn't get this job because he is a Real Madrid legend. He's a top manager, someone who understands the sport inside and out. Real Madrid fans should be excited. For the rest of La Liga, it's a reason to be nervous, because what Alonso did at Bayer Leverkusen wasn't a fluke. It was smart, ruthless, and completely dominant.
Made trophies tangible, exorcised the demons of Leverkusen.
Early exit from the DFB Cup, 17th place in the Bundesliga, 2 wins in their opening 12 games. That's the position Bayer Leverkusen were in when Xabi Alonso first took control. With such a disappointing start to the season, Leverkusen decided to part ways with manager Gerardo Seoane. So how has Xabi Alonso taken a team from fears of relegation to becoming Bundesliga champion? Bayer Leverkusen is a massive club with a history of disappointments. They have never clinched a top division title, having 5 runner-up finishes. They had success in Europe, securing the UEFA Cup in 1988, which is now known as the Europa League, and the DFB Pokal, but these achievements were overshadowed by the Neverkusen nickname. Due to their season in 2002, where they lost the final in the DFB Pokal, the Champions League final, and blew a 5-point lead in the Bundesliga with just 3 games left. Alonso was brought in by sporting director Simon Rolfs as the solution to fixing this curse and getting the club back to winning ways. Alonso's initial appointment was met with debate on whether he was ready to manage a team in the top flight. After all, he had a pretty modest start to management, coaching Real Madrid's youth team and Real Sociedad B. While he had coached the under-13 Real Madrid team to an unbeaten season, and Sociedad B's team to promotion for the first time since 1962, it still seemed too early for a transition to a struggling side in Germany's top flight. Especially since during his time at Sociedad, the team would leak goals and lacked composure in front of goal. His final season in Spain, Sociedad were actually relegated back to the 3rd division of Spanish football. So why did Rolfs make such a risky appointment during a time when the club was facing relegation? Rolfs had faith in Alonso due to his background. Alonso's journey was filled with him being around the greatest minds in football. Born into the game, Alonso's early days were shaped by his father, a revered player and manager who laid the groundwork for his deep connection to the game. His father, Perico, won 2 league titles with Real Sociedad and later became a manager. It set the stage for a career that would see Alonso excel across Europe's top league. While Alonso received a football education at home, he received even more tutoring on the pitch. At every club he was at, he learned from the best managers in the game. At Liverpool, he learned from Rafael Benitez when he became European champion for the first time. Then, during one of the highest peaks in football, Alonso learned about direct and quick transitions under Jose Mourinho during his Real Madrid stint. Later in his Madrid career, Alonso learned from Carlo Ancelotti as the Spaniard lifted another Champions League trophy. At the international level, he won the Euros and the World Cup under Luis Aragonés, being among a golden generation of Spanish players. His playing career concluded at Bayern Munich, where he was under the tutelage of arguably the greatest manager of all time, Pep Guardiola. His time at Bayern meant that he was no stranger to the dynamics of German football. He was a world-class midfielder at Bayern, with his IQ and passing making him a pivotal player. There isn't a player who has more responsibility under Pep Guardiola than the player in the number 6 role.
Of the time in Bayern, I played as a number 6 on my own with 2 offensive.
To be a part of this many iconic teams led by managers who have had such a long-lasting impact on football, it helped Alonso form a new, unique vision on how the sport should be played.
In Madrid, most of our style was very quick transitions, not that much elaboration, whereas more attacking with quick quick actions.
It's why he implemented a direct style in his Leverkusen side. Alonso used a pretty versatile 3-4-3 formation. It was a 3-back going forward, and then it would transition into a 5-back when Leverkusen were defending. From his managerial debut, it was obvious that Alonso wanted his team to press up high to win the ball back quickly and then keep possession so that they could dictate the rhythm of the match. That day, they dominated Schalke with a resounding 4-0 win. The win showcased the talent of two young standout stars, Jeremy Frimpong and Moussa Diaby. It was a performance that made a bold statement. The duo of Frimpong and Diaby proved instrumental the entire season, because their speed meant that the box was always packed with players during fast breaks. It's also the reason why the fullbacks had so many assists. Another big reason for Leverkusen's success was getting Florian Wirtz back. Having a player who can score and create, well, it gives a big boost to the team. Under Alonso, Wirtz became one of the best young players in the world. Goals in big games, moments of magic. Now imagine Alonso having the same impact on Arda Güler, another young phenom who is super creative and has a boatload of talent. As the season went on at Leverkusen, Alonso's tactics began to change, and he really made a focus on playing an attractive brand of football. After all, this is a guy who was part of some of the best teams that the sport has ever seen. The majority of the teams he was on as a player dominated possession. Whether it was the World Cup winning Spain team or the Bayern sides he played on under Pep, he was used to having the ball. But after his first Champions League game in charge, he realized that as a manager, he needs to be more tactically flexible. Against Porto, Leverkusen dominated possession and had 17 shots to Porto's 5, but they lost 3-0. This was when Alonso began to put extra focus on counterattacks and being defensively stable. Another moment that reminded Alonso the importance of being pragmatic was the semi-final of the Europa League. Alonso went face to face with one of his greatest mentors, Jose Mourinho. In the first match, Mourinho's team stayed true to their counterattacking strategy, typical Mourinho ball, and it worked. They secured a slim 1-0 win in Rome. The second match was classic Mourinho. His Roma team played the most haram low block possible in Leverkusen, managing to secure a 0-0 draw and advance despite the game being heavily dominated by Leverkusen. Alonso's side took 23 shots at goal, while Roma only made one attempt, which didn't even hit the target. But for Alonso, it was a lesson, and that's what makes Alonso so great, is that he's a student of the game. He learned from that experience and focused on making a more dynamic system that actually balances possession with a counter-attacking threat, because he didn't want to keep losing games where he dominated possession. The point of the game is to score, not to keep the ball as long as possible. In the next few games, Leverkusen still focused on controlling the middle of the field, but now in other matches, they were able to play defensively, waiting for the other team to make a move and then quickly attacking using their fast players. Alonso had learned from his mistakes. As the seasons went by, he slowly integrated a more traditional Spanish playstyle focused on possession, without compromising the directness that has brought them so much success. But even more important than Alonso's tactics was his recruitment. It was one of the most important factors in Leverkusen's success. See, while everyone was splashing as much cash as they could, Leverkusen were making calculated signings. In the 2023 preseason, there were concerns about the squad because Diaby left to Aston Villa. He had been very instrumental to Leverkusen's success, so there were worries that this was the beginning of the team's top talents being picked apart. However, all of those doubts were silenced because in came 3 top players. Leverkusen began to evolve the squad more towards Alonso's vision, while still keeping the values of what made them so deadly the season before. Similar to his own journey when he arrived in Madrid, Alonso told the players what he expected from them and exactly where they would fit in his team. He knew that this would give the players confidence.
Mucha trascendencia en lo que era la importancia que yo podía tener en el equipo, y eso me motivó mucho, ¿no? Cuando a un jugador se le motiva y se le explica qué se espera de él y qué se quiere, pues eso le hace crecer en confianza.
That's exactly what happened with Grimaldo. Bought on a free transfer, the left-sided wingback hit the ground running. Under Alonso, Grimaldo had become one of, if not the best wingback in the world. Grimaldo and Frimpong were what made Alonso's system tick. Playing as wingbacks in his 3-4-3 system, the two put up incredible numbers in the 2024 season. Grimaldo had 11 goals and 15 assists in all competitions from left wingback, while Frimpong had 12 goals and 11 assists from right wingback. It was Europe's best fullback partnership because not only were they good going forward, but they could also defend. Now imagine what Alonso can do with a player of Trent's quality at right wingback. Even Valverde in that position would destroy teams. By adding Xhaka into the heart of midfield, Leverkusen immediately got better. The Swiss midfielder was ranked at the top in Europe when it came to progressive passes. Pretty much any passing range that you can think of, Xhaka was in the 99th percentile. He had been so important to Leverkusen. He was a leader and he was fantastic at controlling games. I expect Jude Bellingham to be the one used in that role for Alonso's Madrid. And if Alonso can make Xhaka become an elite midfielder, imagine what he will be able to do with a player of Bellingham's quality. If there's one position Alonso knows well, it's the central midfield role. So he'll be able to tell the Englishman how to do the job well. It's also a testament to Alonso's status in the footballing world that he was able to recruit such top players. Because despite Leverkusen not having the biggest pull in the Bundesliga, many players joined the club simply because they believed in Alonso and his project. Now imagine Alonso's pull combined with the elite status of Real Madrid. Pretty much anyone the Spaniard wants, the club will be able to get for him. And as we have seen, the players he brings in, he makes them infinitely better. Victor Boniface is another example. Another player who experienced the best seasons of his career under Alonso. So now imagine what the Spaniard can do when his striker is Kylian Mbappe, a guy who in a bad season still got 30 plus goals. What makes Alonso so special that I haven't seen anybody talk about is that he already has the Real Madrid juju in his blood. That was very obvious when you look at the number of times that Leverkusen won games in the last second.
Teller across, oh, they've done it!
And you've got to still put it past the keeper from there.
It happened so much that you couldn't just say they were getting lucky. A theme that has also been so common with Madrid, especially in the Champions League. It's either Madrid DNA or maybe it's the tactics he learned under Benitez when Liverpool made that historic comeback against Milan in Istanbul. It's moments like this that make you realize the wealth of knowledge that Alonso has. This is someone who has done it all in football. As Leverkusen evolved, so did Alonso's managerial reputation. Because in the beginning, he was just known as the guy who helped Leverkusen avoid relegation. But by his third season, he was known as the guy who propelled Leverkusen back to the top of German football. I mean, in 2024, he had disrupted Bayern's monopoly of the Bundesliga and had established Leverkusen as one of the very best sides in all of Europe. I mean, again, these guys were one game away from achieving an undefeated treble. Their home performance against Bayern Munich was a telling sign that his Leverkusen team wasn't just good, but they were special. In a game that many expected them to lose due to Bayern's status and the Leverkusen curse, Alonso's team showed a masterclass in counterattacking football.
We don't care if you're Bayern Munich. You can come in here. We don't care. We're not afraid of you. We're not intimidated by you.
Despite only having 39% of the ball, Leverkusen won 3-0. Bayern only managed one shot on target and were honestly lucky to not concede more considering Leverkusen hit the woodwork multiple times. That win took Leverkusen 5 points clear on the table and put them one step closer to becoming German champions. It was a statement win, and when they lifted that dinner plate at the end of the season, they knew it was that performance that showed the world they didn't get lucky. Now imagine what Xabi Alonso can do with even more talent at his fingertips. At Real Madrid, he has players like Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, Vinny, superstars who can bring his tactical ideas to life on an even bigger stage. And unlike most managers, Alonso gets it. He was a Galactico himself. He knows what it's like to be surrounded by superstars, how to manage egos, and how to unite a dressing room full of big names around one goal, winning. Cause Madrid needed a bounce. While Carlo had done a great job, flick at his number. 4 El Clasico losses, 2 of them being cup finals, is well below the standards expected of a club like Real Madrid. Combine that with losing to Arsenal of all teams in the Champions League, and it was a season to forget. Now, of course, it might take some time for Alonso to develop the eyebrow magic that Carlo had in the Champions League, but remember, he is no stranger to cup competitions. He helped Leverkusen win the DFB Pokal and got them all the way to the final of the Europa League. Now imagine what he can do with better players, and what he can do in La Liga, because as we have seen over the years, there are not that many teams or managers that can disrupt Bayern's dominance, and Alonso did it. Of course, naturally, this will be a huge step up for the Spaniard. At Madrid, the pressure is constant. Every mistake is magnified. Every loss feels like a crisis. The media can't wait for cracks to show. And considering how quickly Flick turned Barca into a European superpower again, Perez will want to see results fast. But Alonso has the experience, the intelligence, and the calm to handle that pressure. His impact on Leverkusen was immediate, and they were in a far worse position than the Real Madrid team that he's taking over. He's done it as a player, he's done it at Leverkusen, and now he gets the chance to do it at the biggest club in the world. Let's see how far he can go. One player that will certainly benefit from Alonso is going to be Trent, another player who's made the move from Liverpool to Los Blancos. To see why Trent has all the skills needed to dominate La Liga, you gotta watch this video right here.